I grew up in Ponca City, Oklahoma. I went to the University of Oklahoma and then went to optometry school at Southern College of Optometry in Memphis, Tennessee. And that's where I met Tracy.
And I am an Edmond native, born and raised. Went to Memorial High School, and then I went to the University of Kansas, Rock Chalk. And after that, I actually was an interior design major. So I worked in design for a little while, kind of had a roundabout route to optometry, and changed my mind, decided to go back. I had to take all those science classes, went back to school, and then ended up in Memphis at Southern College of Optometry, where I met Matt, and the rest is history.
I was always interested in eyes and science, and I never wore glasses as a kid, but it was just always fascinating to me. I was going through some old stuff a few years ago, back when I was a sophomore in high school. I was already thinking about optometry, and then I was studying business at OU, and I took a summer program in Italy, and I was taking a European accounting class, and the CFO of an eyeglass company was talking to us and was talking about the eye care industry and how it was going to start booming with the baby boom generation approaching that age, and just kind of led me back to it. Started shadowing a couple doctors in Norman and really kind of sparked my interest in it.
So my interest started back when I was 17. My parents took me to have aptitude testing done to kind of figure out what interested me. And my brain is weird. I was all over the place, and I had all these medical professions and then all these design professions. And so between those two, I obviously went the design route first, and then I changed my mind. But there was a list of different medical professions, and optometry was on that list. And it stood out to me, and I was like, I could do that. That sounds interesting. So I remember reaching out to optometrists and talking to them and shadowing them, and that always stayed in the back of my mind even when I went the opposite direction. And then after I did that for a while and realized that was not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I actually had an epiphany one day. It was New Year's Day, I remember very clearly, and I just said, I'm going to go to optometry school. And I called my parents and I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And they're like, okay. So that's kind of how it went. So it was kind of crazy, but I think it was the right place because I'm really happy in my career now. So Matt and I started out as friends, and we kind of ran in the same friend group in optometry school our first year. And our conversation started with OU football. Even though I went to Kansas, was born and raised a Sooner fan. And so, it's kind of like, oh, you're from Oklahoma, I'm from Oklahoma. And then we're like, started talking about OU football, which I was really into, still am. And so we would watch football games together, and OU Texas, obviously a big game, but nobody in Memphis seemed to care about it. So he's like, hey, let's go watch it somewhere. So we went to, a sports bar with all the TVs, and OU Texas was on the one little tiny TV in like the corner. And so we had to sit on the same side of the booth. We were just friends at the time. But then he ended up buying my lunch, and I was like, wait, this kind of felt like a date. What's going on here? And it just kind of grew from there, and that's how we ended up together. Some of my favorite occasion restaurant is just right here in Edmond. It's Signature Grill, and it's so good. I know you have a favorite.
Eddie's.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie's.
Eddie's is delicious. Yep. Even little places like going down to the rail yard district in Edmond is fun. What do we like to do for fun? We go down to Norman for football games. The Garage, all the Hal Smith Group restaurants are all always good. So we end up there a lot with our friends after a football game or a baseball game. And
my parents have a place down in just north of Bricktown. So we, on occasion, special occasions, we'll go down there and Midtown, 2nd Street area,
mm-hmm.
Deep Deuce.
Yep.
So,
Barcachetti. We love Deep Deuce Grill too. That one's a good one.
Yep.
So love to explore the local places that are not just a national chain. Ooh, traveling is my thing. Like, I want to travel all over the world and see all the states and all the continents and all the things. Maybe not Antarctica, but locally, I'm a lake girl. I love going to the lake. I love being on the water, being on the boat. So my most favorite lake in Oklahoma is Lake Tentkiller. I just love the clear water and the rocky bottom. It's just gorgeous. I've spent lots of time at Grand too, and it's wonderful. Eufaula's fun. So those are my favorite local in-state destinations. We also have gone up to Pawhuska to the Pioneer Woman, and that's a fun little spot to go to and see. And then as far as traveling goes, I love everywhere. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a city, sometimes I'm in the mood for a beach. Some of our most amazing vacations have been to Europe. We both went independently in college, and I did the whole backpacking thing. But then we have a friend that he was an exchange student friend of Matt's, and he took us to Bulgaria, which is a place that not many people visit. And we got to see a really good taste of that country, and it was really cool. We also took a trip to Scotland that was pretty amazing as well.
Yeah, we recently went to Maine, Portland, spent a few days. Anywhere, kind of Alabama, Florida, those beaches are nice. I've always been partial to Colorado. Whether it's wintertime skiing or summertime just hanging out, always like the mountains. Yeah, I mean anything from high blood pressure, diabetes, leukemia, cancer, unfortunately.
Glaucoma, macular degeneration.
And these, all the eye disease, of course, but a lot of systemic effects can show up in the eye.
MS.
So it's important to get it checked.
Yeah.
MS, tumors, strokes. Oh man.
Take a business class? We didn't do that. So they give you very little business advice or education in optometry school. And I remember the class was basically have a good banker, a good lawyer, and a good accountant. That's kind of all we have ever done, but we have good people advising us as to what to do. And we also have a group of colleagues that we bounce ideas off of, and that's been very helpful because they kind of help you stay in touch with, as the laws are changing and evolving and what needs to be done to stay on the cutting edge and the forefront of it, as opposed to becoming kind of a set in your ways old school practice.
I would say maybe more than business classes. I would almost say try to find somebody that's doing it already, and multiple people, because I've been in one of my externs was at a surgery center, one private practice in school, and then again the office that I worked at after school. And I think I've taken things from every one of them, some that I thought they did really well, and other parts of the job that I thought it should be done differently. And I think the more exposure, and then hearing from her employer things that they did that I liked, and kind of finding what works for you. And so I think the broader or the more vast experience you can get, you'll kind of carve your own path.